Our heart is the engine of life. It beats about 100,000 times a day, pumping nearly 2,000 gallons of blood throughout our body. Yet, despite being such a remarkable organ, the heart is also one of the most vulnerable. According to the World Health Organization, cardiovascular diseases remain the #1 cause of death globally, responsible for nearly 18 million deaths every year. But here's the good news. Science has shown us that up to 80% of heart diseases are preventable. Simple daily habits, when practiced consistently, can dramatically lower the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure. In today's episode, we will explore 5 simple, evidence-based ways to keep your heart healthy. These strategies don't require expensive medications, complicated diets, or extreme training programs. Instead, they are practical, realistic, and supported by decades of scientific research. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the 5 pillars of heart health. The first pillar is movement. Our bodies were designed to move, not to sit for hours on end. Modern science is clear. Regular physical activity is one of the strongest protectors against heart disease. The Mayo Clinic recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week. That could be brisk walking, swimming, or cycling. If you prefer more vigorous activities like jogging, then 75 minutes per week is enough. What matters most is consistency. Research published in the Journal of the American Heart Association shows that even small amounts of daily movement lower blood pressure, improve cholesterol, and reduce blood sugar. In fact, one study found that women who took just 3,600 steps per day had a 26% lower risk of heart failure. That's less than 30 minutes of walking spread across a day. Exercise strengthens the heart muscle, allowing it to pump blood more efficiently. It lowers resting heart rate and helps prevent atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque inside the arteries. It also improves mental health, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, which, in turn, protects the cardiovascular system. So, what type of activity is best for older adults? Walking remains the king. It's safe, gentle on the joints, and incredibly effective. But if walking feels boring, try dancing, gardening, or light aerobics. The key is to find something enjoyable so that movement becomes a lifestyle, not a chore. Think of movement as medicine. Every step, every stretch, every breath of fresh air counts. The second pillar of heart health is nutrition. Food is not just fuel, it's information for our cells. The nutrients we consume can either support cardiovascular function or silently damage it over time. The American Heart Association and the Mayo Clinic emphasize a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and lean protein sources. Healthy fats, especially from olive oil, avocados, and fatty fish, play a protective role. Several dietary patterns have been studied extensively. The Mediterranean diet, based on olive oil, fish, nuts, and vegetables, has been linked to a lower risk of cardiovascular events by up to 30%, according to the famous Predimed trial in Spain. The DASH diet, originally developed to fight hypertension, has been proven to reduce systolic blood pressure by around 5 millimeters of mercury and diastolic pressure by 2 to 3 points. Plant-based diets are associated with a 15% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and a 21% reduction in coronary artery disease. Let's talk about specific foods. Leafy greens like spinach and kale are packed with nitrates, which help relax blood vessels. Berries contain antioxidants that reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. Fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which lower triglycerides and prevent irregular heartbeats. Nuts, especially walnuts and almonds, improve cholesterol balance by raising HDL, the good cholesterol. Whole grains stabilize blood sugar and improve satiety, helping with weight management. On the flip side, certain foods are dangerous for the heart. Excessive salt, sugary drinks, refined carbohydrates, and especially ultra-processed foods loaded with preservatives and hydrogenated oils. Studies show that people who eat the highest amount of ultra-processed foods have a 58% higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who eat minimally processed diets. Remember, you don't need perfection. Small, steady changes, like replacing white bread with whole grain or butter with olive oil, can yield remarkable long-term benefits. The third pillar is often underestimated: sleep and stress management. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness and sleepless nights, but science tells a different story. Poor sleep and chronic stress place enormous strain on the cardiovascular system. A study from the European Society of Cardiology found that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night are 20% more likely to suffer a heart attack compared to those who sleep 7 to 8 hours. Sleep is when the heart and blood vessels undergo repair. Without it, blood pressure rises, insulin sensitivity decreases, and inflammation increases. But it's not only about the number of hours, it's also about consistency. Cardiologists emphasize that going to bed and waking up at the same time every day helps regulate blood pressure and hormonal balance. Now let's talk about stress. When we feel anxious, our body releases adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones raise heart rate and blood pressure, preparing us for a fight or flight response. But when stress becomes chronic, this system stays activated, damaging blood vessels and increasing the risk of hypertension and arrhythmias. What are the solutions? Practice deep breathing or mindfulness meditation. Just 10 minutes a day can lower cortisol levels. Gentle physical activities like yoga or Tai Chi combine movement with relaxation. Spend time outdoors. Exposure to nature reduces stress and lowers heart rate variability. Stay socially connected. Loneliness is now recognized as a cardiovascular risk factor, especially in older adults. So, remember, rest is not a luxury. It is a necessity for a healthy heart. The fourth pillar is eliminating harmful substances. Tobacco remains one of the most destructive products for cardiovascular health. Smoking damages the lining of blood vessels, accelerates plaque buildup, reduces oxygen delivery, and increases clot formation. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, smokers are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop coronary artery disease compared to non-smokers. The good news is that the benefits of quitting start immediately. Within just 20 minutes of the last cigarette, heart rate and blood pressure begin to drop. Within 1 year, the risk of heart disease is cut in half. Alcohol is more complicated. Some studies suggest that light to moderate drinking, especially red wine, may have protective effects due to antioxidants like resveratrol. However, more recent evidence shows that any amount of alcohol increases the risk of atrial fibrillation and high blood pressure. The World Health Organization has concluded that there is no safe level of alcohol consumption for overall health. If you drink, do so sparingly, and if you don't drink, there's no need to start. The fifth and final pillar is prevention through medical monitoring. Even with the best lifestyle habits, some risk factors, such as genetics, age, or family history, remain beyond our control. That's why regular health checkups are critical. Blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar should be checked regularly. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer because it has no symptoms until complications appear. Diabetes and high cholesterol work in a similar silent way, damaging arteries slowly over years. By catching these conditions early, doctors can recommend lifestyle adjustments or, if necessary, medications to keep risks under control. Research published in the Journal of the American Heart Association shows that older adults who maintained optimal cardiovascular health, measured by a score called Life's Simple 7, not only had lower rates of heart disease, but also lower risks of dementia, depression, vision problems, and even cancer. In other words, protecting your heart protects your whole body. So let's review the 5 simple but powerful strategies to keep your heart healthy. Stay physically active. Make movement a daily habit. Eat a balanced diet, rich in whole foods, plant-based nutrients, and healthy fats. Prioritize sleep and manage stress. Give your heart the rest it deserves. Avoid tobacco and limit alcohol. Protect your arteries from toxins. Get regular checkups because prevention is always better than cure. The science is clear. These steps can lower your risk of heart disease by more than half. And perhaps more importantly, they can add quality years to your life. Years filled with energy, clarity, and joy. Your heart is with you every second of your life. Treat it well, and it will reward you with strength and vitality for many years to come. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to Cura Plus for more research-backed health advice. Share this message with your loved ones, because heart health is not just a personal matter, it's a family matter. Together, we can build healthier, longer, and more fulfilling lives.